When Grant Stone announced their brass boot, I didn't find out through the normal channels of an email list or social media. I found out through all of the people who emailed me, direct messaged me about this boot. Grant Stone's first foray into aggressive, more work-style footwear, people were wondering what my take was on it, and I appreciate that. Now, previously, I have reviewed Grant Stone's Chelsea boot and their Diesel boot in natural Chromexcel, and I gotta say that their reputation is well earned, and that being an extremely high value. You get a lot of boot, a lot of shoe for the money. Now, the other problem with these videos is that oftentimes I find myself arguing with people about something that's made in China. So if that's not your bag, stop here. Don't even go any further. These are made in China to an extremely high level. The quality of the finishing across the three pairs is so even and identical. It's just, it's almost like the same person is putting them together. Everything is held to a very high standard, which proves my point, which I'll stand by to this day, that quality craftsmanship can come from any corner of the globe. But there is a difference between being able to make a great dress shoe or dress boot, casual boot, and being able to make great work boots. So I wanted to reach out to Grant Stone because I had seen some ads which alluded to these possibly being stand-in for work boots or actually dedicated work boots. I wanted to find out from them what were these boots actually for, and they said, the main idea behind this boot was to make something that could be worn outdoors or during the winter months. So I wouldn't call this a dedicated work boot. After all, it's not steel toe. It doesn't have a lot of things that you would look for in a work boot. But I would say that they probably tried for a good all-rounder. So let's begin with the construction. Built on the Floyd last, the upper is a deep reddish-brown Chromexcel from Horween. There's 360-degree Goodyear welted with a veg-tanned insole, welt, and midsole. There's cork beneath that midsole and a steel shank along with a leather heel counter, giving the boots a very sturdy feel. All of the hardware is brass, and Grant Stone's own lugged sole provides plenty of traction. The design is a combination of dressy and rugged, which I feel they really nailed. Now, they're not true moccasin construction, but that hand-sewn mock detail is positioned inboard somewhat, which breaks up the large, well, at least by Grant Stone standards, toe box. This detail is really what makes these boots, in my opinion. It's the showpiece of the design, and is beautifully executed. 5 brass eyelets at the bottom and 2 speed hooks at the top make it easy to put these on in the morning, although honestly, I don't really care much for those speed hooks. Recently, I've noticed that the ones on my Diesel boots will rotate around their rivet, and they just don't seem up to the standards of the rest of the boot. And hey, you know what? While I'm at it, I think it was a missed opportunity not to ship these with leather laces. Though Grant Stone does include a second pair of laces with their footwear, which is more than I can say for most footwear companies, so to be fair, I'm really nitpicking here. But these boots, they got so much right, I feel like I had to pick out something I didn't like. These boots run about a half size large from your normal size, and thanks to that roomy toe box, they're very nice and easy to wear. Now take a look at their choice in thread. They went with a similar, if not exactly the same, thread for the welt and the mock toe detail, but a more subtle black thread for the rest. Now this really draws your eye to the right spot, but it keeps things classy and subdued. I've got to tell you though, when I unboxed these boots, they simply look too nice to use really hard. The crimson Chromexcel leather gleamed back at me like a pair of dress shoes, and you could easily confine these boots to a life indoors traversing the carpeted hallways of an office and, the asphalt parking lot. But then why not do something like the Diesel boot in that case with its less aggressive tread and lower profile? The brass boot has some serious lugs on the bottom, which suggests that they can handle some more. Now, can you use them out on a hike? Sure, but they're far from a hiking boot. And the same goes for manual labor. They can do it, but there are better options if that's your main concern. So let's just recap. They're not dress boots, they're not hikers, they're not work boots, yet they could function in any of those categories handily. So I was struggling to figure out who these boots were really intended for. And then it hit me. There's another boot out there which has walked the halls of university, walked across the deserts in subterranean caves, and gone on a quest for the Holy Grail. That's the Alden Indie boot, which shares a lot of similar design elements, although the Alden Indie traditionally comes with a leather sole, and it's a combination last. There's a lot of different things to consider, not to mention they're kind of a pain in the neck to get. Alden sort of rejected any sort of social media or website design for that matter. So when it comes down to it, I think that in a way, what the Grant Stone brass boot actually is a more functional indie boot. But you don't have to be Indiana Jones to appreciate that versatility. Anyone whose job brings them from the office to the field and everywhere in between will find out that the brass boot offers a rare combination of refinement, capability, and build quality. So project managers, salesmen, and field engineers will really benefit from this boot. The list goes on. Now, some people will find it blasphemous to compare the Alden Indie, a stalwart, American-made, legendary boot, to the Chinese-made brass boot. But I would argue that the brass boot is pound for pound just as good as the Alden Indie. Matter of fact, I think it excels in quite a few different places. So maybe it's not quite what you're looking for. Maybe it is. Matter of fact, I think that this is probably the boot for people who don't really know what they're looking for. They're not going for a dress boot. They're not going for a work boot. They need something that can do all kinds of different things and handle it pretty well. These will do that. You could polish these things up to a lustrous sheen if you wanted to. Use some Saphir, polish and really get these things shining. Or you could beat the hell out of them. Go ahead, it's Horween Chromexcel. It can take it and it'll look better for it. Now, one of the things that you're gonna notice, all of this video that I took for this, the product shots were when these boots were brand new. They do crease somewhat, and thanks to that mock toe on the top, the creasing isn't quite in the way that you would expect, which is usually across the toe. It creases in a very different manner. So that's something to keep in mind, that these things will age, and they'll age uniquely, which I think is cool, and it's part of their design. Whether that's your bag or not, hey, that's up to you to decide. I think that Grant Stone did a great job of combining all of those things. It's not an easy thing to accomplish, and they did it all for $340. Not bad. These boots are easily the equivalent of boots that are $100 more, without a doubt. So, is the brass boot the boot that you've been looking for? Maybe. If so, go check them out. Pretty cool stuff. I really love mine. So, Grant Stone continues to be the company that I suggest for people who want a heck of a value and something that's made to very, very high standards. Even shoe snobs can agree. Grant Stone is something to behold. So anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you think of Grant Stone. Please keep the political BS out of it. This is not a political channel, and I'm not going to get into that with you. So keep it to yourself. Let me know what you think of these boots and just these boots in the comments.